Hey, I'm Dusty.
And I'm Lori. And yes, we're going there.
Tough Topics is where we talk honestly about mental health. No fluff, no fake positivity.
Just real conversations, helpful tips, and the occasional awkward overshare.
Because let's be honest, we've all got stuff.
And you don't have to go through it alone.
This is Tough Topics, real talk to help you feel a little better, one episode at a time. Hi, welcome back to Tough Topics. Thanks for joining us again.
Yes.
For putting up with us again.
Good morning. Well, yeah, good morning.
Yeah,
Who knows what
morning.
time of day you're going to see this, but it's morning for us.
For us, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about something a little heavy. Today we're going to talk about grief.
Yeah.
So I guess that's like the warning, right? Like we have to warn people right before they jump in.
Good morning. Let's talk about grief.
Good morning. Right. Let's be fairly calm about it. So we both have been experiencing grief in different parts of, we all do, right? But
Right.
lately we've had some weird grief stuff come up.
Exactly.
So we thought, well, we might as well talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to kind of start with some of the research, some of the, I don't know, I guess you could say psychology type stuff. Although I feel like grief is such a, maybe people are trying to do better with grief. So most of what we're going to talk about, honestly, you could just Google, but we're going to go over a little bit of it and then kind of talk about how it's shown up in our lives recently and pieces and parts of grief that maybe you hadn't thought about before. And maybe you're like, oh, that's what this is. This is grief going on for me. So,
yeah. Well, and last night when I was putting my notes together, I'm such a good planner. But last night when I was putting my notes together, I was thinking I hope that, my hope for this podcast, you tell me what you think, is to help normalize the messiness of it.
Yes.
I don't feel like us, American society, I guess.
We do
our
a terrible
culture,
job with it.
Terrible job.
Terrible.
Right? I feel like people really rally, circle the wagons, maybe for a week. Maybe.
Right.
Or past the funeral, we'll say.
Right.
Maybe some casserole dishes, right? A very Midwestern thing, right?
Yes.
And then eventually they just expect that you go back to your life.
Yes.
And maybe you do. Maybe you go back to work, right?
Right.
But there's this discounting of internal process.
And I feel like that's what can be hard.
Yeah.
The rest of the world goes back to normal and you're kind of left with, what does normal look like for me now?
Right.
Normal's never going to look like life did prior to your loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's like, oh, okay, the earth is still spinning on its axis. The 6 lasagnas that my neighbors dropped off are all gone. Now what do I do? Why am I feeling so off?
Right.
And I
should
hear
be
from
over it.
I should be over it.
Yeah.
I hear that from clients all the time. I should be over it.
Yeah.
I can't get my shit together.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, says who? Who says you should be over it?
Mm-hmm.
What does over it look like?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's you're taking this grief and you're encompassing it, digesting it into your life.
Yeah.
You're not jumping through it or moving past it.
Right. Which would be our goal, at least at our age, right, is to live the
Yes.
most authentic life, right?
Right.
So then if we're living it based on someone else's expectations, whether it's society or family or whatever, that's not going to feel right necessarily to us. And personality, coping strategies and all of those things,
Right.
if I'm already an overworker and overthinker, I might want to kind of delve into that world, right? But I might need to find a way to have some balance with it. It's
exactly.
It's trying to
then
be
is that
authentic. Yeah.
overfunctioning a maladaptive coping skill, or is
Exactly.
it
Am I
healthy
avoiding?
getting back? Yeah,
Yeah.
avoiding. Yeah, or is it getting back to life, doing well? And I've talked with clients who will talk about different phases of their grief or experiences with their grief, and their loved ones and coworkers will say, "Oh, I thought you were doing so well." Well, 15 minutes ago I was, and then I heard this song, and this song last week made me smile and laugh thinking about my loss or my lost loved one. And now it's making me cry, and all of that is okay.
It's fine.
I think our American society says oh, you're doing well, check, done. Yeah. Okay, you're over it.
Even the message, when you said that, I was like, ugh, right? Even the message, oh, I thought you were doing well. What the hell?
Exactly.
What do you mean? I'm doing well in every stage of it. Or what does well mean?
Exactly.
Why does it have to be like that?
Right.
And I put together a little list of what loss can look like. Now, of course, it's extensive. There's an extensive amount of possibilities that's not on my list, right? And so I was kind of thinking about death, but I also think we should talk about what you were telling me a little bit ago, like about grief that is not like necessarily death, right?
Right.
Like death of a relationship, but not death, right? So some of the ones that just came to my mind that are more of a complicated grief, which is silly because is there such thing as an uncomplicated grief?
Right.
Probably not. And I was thinking like, okay, uncomplicated grief. What's straight line grief? Maybe it would be like, like if I have a grandparent, that passes away when they're, 100 years old and they just,
surrounded by family.
So, right. They just,
passing peacefully.
Then maybe it's less complicated, right? Because you're like, well, it was her time to go, like that kind of happened with my grandma last year. She was ready to go. All of her family had passed, right? Mm-hmm. I felt less complicated, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking about is all the other shit, right? That's a little more complicated, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking first right off the gate, I was thinking like if you lose a child, which would just have to be one of the worst.
The worst.
One of the worst.
I think the worst nightmare for any parent.
Absolutely. Like I knock on wood, like I hope to never. That would be the thing that would take me out, honestly.
Exactly.
Which should be probably a whole nother podcast. But
maybe it will be.
It might be. But also like the loss of a partner, right? And whether it's like your husband or wife, or, in today's world where there's like maybe a same-sex couples or a non-traditional couple that maybe is not even recognized in the state that you live in. And then how do you move through that grief? Like where you show up to the funeral home and they're like, oh, sorry, you're not the next of kin. You're
Exactly.
like, but, loss of a pet can really get you, but then that one I feel like is really minimized. You go back to work and they're like, well, I mean, your dog just died. You're like, it was like my child.
Right. And you don't get 3 days of paid leave to, bury your dog or your cat or whatever. And that's a really not recognized in our society. And again, employers need their people to show up to work. I get that, but there's just such a glossing over of the emotions that might be coming up with that.
Right. And
you'll get a new dog. Go get a new dog.
Exactly. Have
you
got a new dog
need to grieve this dog.
I don't want a new dog.
Exactly.
And I mean, to be honest, like I love my dog more than some people.
Right.
So I mean, I don't want anybody to die. But if my dog were to die, I would be very devastated. I also was thinking about like loss of a peer, friend, colleague. I think that like we're in that spot right now where like we're 40s, 50s, right? Like unfortunately, this is the age where you see a lot of people like have like heart attacks or like just random things.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I also wanted to mention like the loss of an ex, so like I have an ex-husband. And if he were to die before me, like finding the way to hold that space for my kiddos, like I would want to like show up to the funeral and all that stuff. But like, what role does the ex-wife play? You know what I mean? You have the grieving widow, right? But so that's weird.
And this can kind of fall into the category of disenfranchised grief. And again, you can Google this. There's different categories of grief. And I think it's just so that we have language to try and talk about it, right? And our intellectual human brains want to rationalize. And here's what I always say with myself and with clients. Grief is not rational. It does not, we'll talk here in a minute about the stages of grief that were researched and developed by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And you can look at that list and think like, okay, I'm past denial. Now I'm onto this one. And I'll always say to clients, and again, myself, all of those stages of grief are it's not a linear process. It's a big messy ball. It can all happen all at the same time within an hour time span, right? Yeah. It could be 5 years after your loss. It could be 5 minutes after your loss. It could be, we're going to talk a lot about there's no right or wrong way to grieve. And I did bring a couple resources with me that I have found to be helpful for work with clients. But anyway, all of this rant to say there's a pretty significant category of grief called disenfranchised grief. And that means the type of grief that isn't acknowledged
Yeah.
by society. And one of the big categories is like ex-spouse.
Yeah.
How do you show up as the ex-wife at the funeral? Where do you sit?
Yeah.
Right? Where do you sit at the funeral home or at the service?
Yeah, right. And I mean, think like even like I am still really close with my ex-in-laws, but what if you're not? What if
Right.
your in-laws think like, what the hell are you doing here or something? You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
there's that whole
Yeah.
another layer.
Exactly. Exactly. It can be really confusing and really
For sure. For sure.
And I think, we tend to internalize that again. Like say hypothetically, I hope that your ex-husband does not die.
I hope not
Maybe
too.
there are days that you do, but I hope
I
that
have
he does
visual
not.
like during the divorce process, I might have been the cause of his death, but not anymore. He can live a nice long life.
Yes. Yes.
Ooh, it was touch and go there for a minute. But yes, you're right. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would, you're going to internalize that.
Yes.
Where is my place in this? I am the ex-wife. This is the father of my children, but I am also the ex-wife. Where do I sit? Do I go talk to my ex-father-in-law? Do I all those questions? And I think Dusty and I are just here to say yes, yes, yes to all of it. It's all okay.
It is. It's all real and it's fine and
Yes.
and we can hopefully normalize some of it.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
'Cause we have a whole bunch of things that we've been through.
Yes.
So hopefully that helps. Yeah. Yeah.
And recently, I mean,
Yeah.
you and I have talked about this a lot, and Dusty and I have both lost someone in our lives, a family member that we should have been close to, that we should have had a good relationship with, and we didn't. So then it's like, what do we do with these feelings that, I could have to cancel my nail appointment because, my dad just died. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
I
okay.
know.
I'm neutral.
Doesn't that feel
That
weird?
feels weird.
It feels so weird, right?
Yes.
Because that was one of the things I have on there is loss of a parent. Whether it's like a really good relationship. I mean, goodness, lots of grief.
Right.
Or what if it wasn't? Like, what if it was a really dysfunctional? What if it wasn't even bad, but it was somewhat non-existent?
Right.
Like, like an absent parent, right?
Yeah.
That's a factor.
And I think the layer that we need to lay in that grief process is at that point, allow yourself to grieve the relationship you wish you had with that person.
Yeah.
Or this is what I wanted my father-daughter relationship to look like. And truthfully, like I've been grieving that for years, right?
Of course.
And
of
I came
course.
to a place of radical acceptance. But then when I got the news of his death, whoosh, all that came rushing back again.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And it can be really surprising.
Yeah.
Like, so when my dad died, we were fine. We just never had a real relationship. Like him and my mom divorced when I was like 6 months, right? So I knew him. I mean, I saw him sometimes, but we didn't have like a close relationship. So, I got through the funeral and I helped plan, and I'm a really good like organizer up front.
She overfunctions.
I do. Right. But once it's done, I kind of lose my mind a little bit.
Yes.
And I was shocked. I remember I was sitting in the car. You know how like you get in the line, the funeral procession line?
Right.
I was sitting in the car, and the funeral director came up to me to help so that I would organize the cars because I had organized. So he expected that I was going to be like calm and collect. I was sobbing, and he looked at me, and I was thinking, buddy, you're just as shocked as I am about this right now. Like I did not see this coming. So it can be very surprising. It could hit you like a wave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think other people in your life may say things like, well, what's the big deal? You weren't close to him. You haven't talked to him in 5 years anyway, right? And what those other people are essentially saying is, whoa, I'm not comfortable with this. I can't handle these emotions. And what Dusty and I want to make clear today is those emotions are okay.
Absolutely.
And they are normal, and you can allow them. Yeah. Because if you don't, then that can lead to a whole nother phase of grief, like complex grief, all the other layers of grief. So just as hard as it is, feel the feelings.
Feel the feelings. Yeah. Right. And you don't need shame around it. You know what I mean? Like like you said,
shame never helps.
It never helps. Little demon.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Never helps.
Well, and there's other things too, right? Like like I was also thinking of like if you ever have a loss of anybody due to violence, right? Or due to suicide, there's a lot of complicated feelings around that, right?
Exactly.
I myself have lost a sibling, like very unexpected. She's my younger sister. It was way out of the blue, right? Which was, it was like what, 14 years ago. And there's still moments, that I'm like, oh, like a little shock. Or since it's been so long, somebody must have her new phone or her old phone number. And so it'll pop up like on my Snapchat. It'll say like, Nikki just joined Snapchat. Right. And I'm like, right. It's those things. It happens across the board.
Or you see something in her kids that reminds you of her.
Yes. Or her kids go through a life moment. There's a part of me that's like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the grief of, and I'll talk with clients a lot about this, particularly if I'm working with the client that is the one in the relationship that filed for divorce.
Yeah.
They feel like they don't get to grieve because I chose this. I asked for the divorce. Yeah. And I'll always say, whoa, 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 whoa. Mm-hmm. You probably aren't asking for a divorce because your relationship was really supportive and healthy, right? You're asking for divorce because I'm pro-marriage. I'm pro-working it out if it can be worked out.
Sure.
That means two people, right? Mm-hmm. You're probably filing for divorce because the other spouse or whatever, it wasn't work throughable.
Yeah.
And you're grieving the loss of what you thought your life was going to look like.
Absolutely.
You're grieving the loss of what you thought your marriage, your family, your lifestyle, a lot of times your house, your,
if kids are involved, what it's going to look like for them.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That grief is there, and it's really important to acknowledge that because there again, society will tell you, well, you did this to yourself. You filed for divorce.
Right. And especially, I imagine, especially when the reason for the divorce isn't tangible. You know what I mean? Like it's easy, I guess, right? Like if you're filing for divorce because somebody hit you or cheated on you or, is a drunk, you know what I mean? Like something tangible. But if you're getting divorced just because you say, I'm not happy.
Yes.
Or he's a great person, but I just know he's not my person. Yes. Or, she just doesn't love me the way I need to be loved. And we've tried,
Yep.
Those are like a little mind-boggling to go through.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm really glad you brought that up because everybody needs to kind of, again, we want to rationalize what is the line in the sand. Yeah. And when the reasons are multi-layered, but maybe not as specific and tangible.
Yeah.
That's really hard.
Right. And I mean, I would imagine most of us would have struggled with that like well before. So you're grieving, you're processing, you're criticizing, you're struggling all up front and then dealing with the grief after too.
It's exactly.
So many layers. Yeah. Another one that I thought about that we don't talk about very much either is when you lose someone that was your abuser, right? Now that could be family, right? It could not be, right? It could be, drastic. It could be, I don't know, like you're raped, and then that you find out in the news that person was shot and killed. I mean, it could be anything, but there's a process there, Yep. And I'll be fully honest, like my grandpa just passed away this year and he sexually abused me and other people in our family. But I will speak for me that when he passed, that was complicated.
Absolutely.
Obviously like I had years to process some of that stuff. Right. But there was a huge family expectation around what myself and my sister, what we were supposed to do and how we were supposed to support, say that 5 times fast, how we were supposed to show up, what we were supposed to put on like a front,
Yeah.
And that was challenging,
Absolutely.
And really complicated with feelings about, maybe some relief. Maybe there's relief in grief,
Yep.
So lots of things there.
I think that's a really good point. There can be relief in grief.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to feel guilty about it.
You don't have to feel guilty about it. Mm-mm. And I've had clients, if they're the caregiver for someone in their family that has, a devastating illness or terminal illness or something,
Yeah.
their caregiving years take their toll, right? They can suck you dry.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that person passes, it still feels like a shock. That's
Of
another
course.
thing.
Yes.
This person may have been sick for 5 years, but when that moment comes, it still feels like a shock. And then the kind of like quote unquote normal feelings of grief along with relief.
Yeah. Right.
I'm glad I don't, and whatever your spiritual beliefs are, that may play into it, but there can also be relief. I am so relieved. I don't have to be this person's caregiver anymore.
I know. And that's okay.
Yeah. And that's okay. And it's hard to say out loud for some people. And I get it.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. I think that's the whole thing. Like none of this is linear, right? Like it's all all over the place and it's unique to the situation.
It is.
But it's just about like honoring the process, right? And knowing that it's all okay.
And taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And connecting with people. Grief can be very isolating. Like we talked, especially when the lasagnas are all eaten and everybody else is back on with their normal life. Yeah. That period of time in particular can feel really, really isolating. And just know that while we're going to say 100 times there's no right or wrong way to grieve, I do have a couple of great resources that I've used with clients that I've brought with me. The Grief Recovery Handbook by James and Friedman and Getting Grief Right, which is kind of tongue in cheek. They validate in this book that, there's not an entirely right way, but this book has been really helpful. By Patrick O'Malley. Okay. I know like here in Omaha, we have a great resource in Grief's Journey.
Used to be Teddy Bear Hollow way back in the day.
Yes, I know, way back in the day. Yeah. And they've expanded resources. They're amazing. An amazing organization.
We went there and we took all the kids after my little sister died. And they were great. Yeah. They I think we did like some workshops and stuff. And the kids like did like they made like pillows out of her shirts or something. And they still have it. Like, I mean, it really left an impact on them.
Yes.
Yes. And it's not like we expect any place or any person or any religion or any to have all the answers. Like it wasn't like, oh, cured. You have a pillow. Congratulations. You're done. Right. But it's like a piece, right?
Exactly.
It's just a piece of the healing.
Exactly. All the things in these books too, like, oh, read this book and you're going to be just fine. No, absolutely not. It's just a piece of the process or puzzle. Yeah.
When you said isolating, it made me think kind of back to like our own maladaptive coping strategies. So like when my sister died, I isolated. That's my thing. Like even when I'm really stressed, I withdraw, I'm quiet, so I know that wasn't beneficial, right? That was kind of like a slippery little slope. And at some point I had to get out of it, but my tendency was to isolate, right? Now I remember, you know how it is. Like you have friends call you and say, hey, what do you need? Let me know if you need anything. Well, when I'm isolating, I'm not going to reach out and be like, hey, I need something. I don't even know what I need probably. Right. And I have a really great friend. Her name is Rachel. She's such a doll. She had done all the things. She had checked in on me and all that stuff. And I was just like, I'm fine. And one night she showed up at my house with a pasta bake, right? Yep. Gotta love pasta.
Yeah.
And I think probably a bottle of wine. And she said, we don't have to talk.
Exactly.
We don't have to do anything. She said, I'm just here for you. Right. And we literally just sat on the couch. I couldn't tell you a thing we talked about if we did at all. But that moment has stuck out in my head so much. She was just with. And so, so even at that, like it's okay if you have tendencies to isolate, but know where that limit is, and hopefully like your support systems know you well enough too, you know? Because I've told that story a million times. I don't even know if Rachel knows how impactful that was to me.
I hope she watches this.
I know. I'm going to tell her.
Give me goosebumps.
It's just like, that's so important. Just like the connecting.
Yeah. And I think too, another thing that we do really bad in this society is being afraid to talk about the person that is lost, or talk about the marriage that was lost, or talk about the, and people who are grieving, which is a lifelong process. When you have a loss, like we said, you never get over it. Right.
Right.
And we, we kind of maybe avoid.
Right.
And I'm sure there are moments where you're like, gosh, I really want, and thank goodness you have another sister that you're super close to that knew Nikki, and you guys can talk about Nikki and like celebrate the memory of her.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one thing that we have found to be beneficial is that we find a way to honor her. Well, and I've done the same for my grandma, right? Something to honor. So like with Nikki, before she passed, like that same year, she had come over. She wasn't living in Omaha at the time. So she'd come over and we'd gone to La Mesa. She loved La Mesa, right? And we had margaritas and nachos and we went to go see a movie. And so on her birthday, we always go to La Mesa and have margaritas and nachos, whatever we want, right? But usually it's margaritas and nachos for me. And every year I look forward to that, right? And so do our kids. There was a couple times that I'm like, oh, do we need to go? It kind of gets expensive, yada yada, because I don't want the kids not to go because they can't afford it, so I just pay for it, right? And one year I'm like, oh, do we really need to do it? And the kids were like, yes, we need to do it.
Yes.
So finding a way to honor too, remember.
And what I love about that for you and your family is, like you said, it's been 14 years and you're still doing it.
Yeah.
You're not saying to yourself, oh my gosh, it's been 14 years. We're done doing this. We don't need to do this anymore.
Right. Yeah.
It's something that you look forward to every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hope you do it for the next 40 or 50 years.
I do too. I mean, maybe I should go a couple of times and do margaritas and nachos. I saw an interview once with Andrew Garfield, which I don't know my actors very well, but I know he was Spider-Man once.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Not watched. He probably wasn't, but I'm pretty sure he was. Okay. And he had just lost his mom. And he was on like a late night talk show or, one of those. And the guy was like, oh, Andrew, I heard that you just lost your mom. And he was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I'm probably going to cry. And the host said, oh, I'm so sorry. And he goes, no, we don't have to be sorry. Like he said that, let me see if I get it right, how he said it. He said it was okay to miss people and like that it's like a process of honoring them, that grief is just, the tears are the unexpressed love that we have for them because we never get enough time with them. And I've thought about that, and I'm sure he's gone on to say something more about that, but like the grieving process just shows that like the unexpressed love that we didn't get to share with them, you know? And I thought that was so cool.
I love that.
That he really normalized. He was also on Sesame Street, if you want to see. He talks to Elmo about it, right? So, I mean, there's some clips of that out there he really normalized it. Like, it's okay. He wanted to talk about his mom.
Yes, exactly.
And I get that might not be the case in some of these other things.
Right.
But wasn't that lovely? Yeah.
That is lovely. I love that so much. The tears are the unexpressed love for that person because we never get enough time with our loved ones.
We don't.
And I think the same thing about anticipatory grief too. So anticipatory grief comes when there's something that, just kind of like what it sounds. There's something that you're sort of expecting and hoping for, and then for whatever reason, it doesn't work out. And I think the same thing with anticipatory grief is maybe those feelings, maybe those tears, maybe those whatever are the expression of the hope that you had.
True.
So with a person or a pet or something, maybe that's an expression of the love.
Yeah.
And with anticipatory grief, it can be the expression of the hope that you had. Yeah. And so again, what we're saying is all these feelings are so normal.
Absolutely.
We need to start being more open and accepting of them.
And not being scared to reach out, because I do think that there's even more fear about reaching out when it's something that's like suicide or violence. Like you're like, oh, I don't want to bring it up. Okay, it's already on their mind. It's not like they're going to be like, oh wow, I hadn't thought about that today. No, they're thinking about it. You know?
Exactly. It's always running in the background for them.
Right. So just knowing that, that you're there for them maybe.
And I think too, like we're again really blessed in Omaha to have like great grief therapists.
Yeah.
I think there are so many posts on like our networking group and stuff about looking for a grief counselor, for a grief counselor. I think that we have great resources there. And just, these people are trained to hold this space for you and to help you process some of these really confusing emotions.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's so nice to have like someone outside of your circle that you can say all the things to. Exactly. Like maybe you don't feel comfortable telling your husband that you're really glad that your chronically ill child has now passed, which allows you guys to live a regular life, right? Maybe, but you could tell that to that therapist.
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's okay to hold space. You've got to process it somewhere.
Yep. You got to get it out, or it builds and it leads to the other kinds of grief, complicated grief. And what's the one that I have? Delayed grief, all those other things. So we hope that your takeaway from today's episode, heavy topic. It's not every day that people wake up and say, you know what I really want to talk about today? Grief. Right? That's not something that's ever fun or comfortable to talk about. But we hope that this serves as kind of like a starting point or sounding board for you or someone you know who may be going through some of these really conflicting emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, if there's anything we can help support, if we need to discuss another piece of this, or feel free to reach out at any point in time.
Comments, whatever works for you.
Because we definitely have had some of our own stuff, that's going to look way different than yours, way different than each other's, but there's some commonality, right? There's some I don't know, genuine connection in it.
We're more alike than we are different.
That's right.
We're all human. Yep.
Sure. Absolutely. So, well, thank you for joining us again today. We know it's been a lot.
Yep.
We hope that you have a great rest of your week whenever you're watching this, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Before we go, don't forget to connect with us on social.
We're on Instagram and Facebook at Tough Topics. That's TUFFTOPIX.
Follow, like, share, all that good stuff, and let us know what topics you want us to cover next.
Because real talk doesn't stop here. It keeps going in the comments.